This is 5 Minute Feng Shui, episode 77. Feng Shui for your home office, a before and after study. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui. We are going to be talking about Feng Shui for your home office. Now, a lot of us are working from home. I've been doing it now since, right before 9/11, but way back in 2001. And I feel very comfortable working from a home office. In fact, I think I'd be unemployable now. I don't believe that I could actually work in a structured office. I know I could, but you get in your routines, and I definitely have got my home office routine down, and I've learned a few things about being at home, and that is you really do need to try to separate your space and activities as much as possible. A lot of people ask me if I would watch Oprah, or skip down and do some laundry, and occasionally I might do the laundry. I might start a load or something like that and then swap them out at lunchtime or something like that. But, really my life doesn't change all that much other than being at home. I still get up and get dressed. I take my purse and put it on my shoulder when I walk up to my office, and it's pretty much the same thing. But so we're going to be talking about, in particular, a woman who I worked with who is having some very difficult times at work and in her career. And I know with COVID and coronavirus going on right now, a lot of people are kind of walking on tenterhooks at the moment, kind of wondering, with that big question mark over their head about work, about their jobs, their career, and so forth. But before we dive into that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. This is episode 77. We are slowly creeping up on episode 100, and we've got 100,000 downloads, and I've get so many wonderful emails and comments from you, listeners from all over the world. It's absolutely fantastic. I love hearing from you. I've heard from a couple of people. I want to call them out today because it's so wonderful when you reach out to me. I really love hearing from you. So first off, I want to call out Carly in Australia for listening in and sending me such a nice email. I love that you are on and listening to 5 Minute Feng Shui. And I love that you take the time to tell me about it and to shoot me an email. That really means a lot to me. Another one is Corey from New Jersey, and also sent me another very nice note, and I just love it. As well as Ozzy, and that's AZI. And thank you so much for listening. I really, really love hearing from you, and thank you so much for letting me into your world and inviting me in to listen to me on your iPod, your iPhone, your whatever it is that you listen to. I said an iPod. How dated is that? But being that as it may, however it is you listen to it, in the car, while you're walking, exercising, whatever it is, getting dressed, I sure appreciate being part of your day. So thank you so much, and thank you for all those great notes. If I get a note from you, if you send me one, I'll do my very best to call you out on an episode, because it means a lot to me that you take the time. All righty, well, let's get started talking about Barbara. Because Barbara had a home office, just like a lot of us do. And, we're all working more hours in the day. We're working on weekends. We're working after hours. there's a lot of time spent around our work now. And with the availability of cell phones and broadband internet, home offices, and malls and coffee shops having internet access, you could pretty much say that about wherever you are, that's where your office is, right? Many people just take their office with them. They take their laptop with them, or they use a phone or their smartphone or their tablets, and that's their office, and that's how they work, which is just mind-blowing when I think about it. Because when I graduated from high school, I couldn't even imagine using a computer, much less that became my day-to-day life, hour by hour, in fact. But many people spend more time at work than they do at home, and that actually goes double for home office workers. Contrary to what a lot of people think, a lot of home office workers actually put in longer hours than their cubicled counterparts. In fact, there was a quote in businessnewsdaily.com that said, working from home increases productivity. Studies have shown that employees will work 1.4 more days per month than their office-based counterparts, resulting in more than 3 additional weeks of work per year. And that's a very easy pattern to slip into, because think about it. You don't have the commute. You don't have the water cooler conversations. You don't have people coming into your office talking to you, or your cubicle. You don't go wandering off around the office and talking to people. A lot of times meetings when you're in an office are held in person, so you don't get invited to those. And now if it's an online meeting, people are more, I guess, let me put it this way, people are more inclined in an office environment to have impromptu meetings in a meeting room than they would be online, because then it's, it seems like it's more weighted. In other words, it takes on more importance when you get people online. It just can't be like an impromptu, hey, let's just talk, let's kick some ideas around in the meeting room kind of thing. So there is an actual basis, I think, to home office workers working more. You will find that many times, like me, I don't take a lunch break. I just don't. I just work straight through it. I have something at my desk, and I answer emails, or I go on social media. That's my lunch break. But that's okay. I like that. It works for me. And but here's the point, though, and that is your home office. It's so important that if you are working from home, and even if you're not, you can still take away some tips, whether you're a home office worker or not, about arrangement in your workspace, and because it's so important. It can make you more productive and successful when it's arranged well. If it's not, there could be all kinds of problems that range from a lack of recognition. You could have problems with support from management, maybe even politicking or gossip, and even possible layoffs. This is an episode that is so important to me right now, because there are a lot of people who are very concerned about their income and their livelihood and their career. So I want to give you that information that will help you, whether you have a home office or you're in a cubicle or you're in a regular office, to arrange it in such a way that it's going to promote beneficial energy, beneficial flow, and that means consistent salary, income, job stability. That's what we're really all about today. So let's talk about some of the problems that you could have when you have poor office arrangement. This could cause you to have a career that stalls. It could just be suffering from malaise. You'd have no upward movement, no promotion, no job or financial advancement. And that's exactly what happened to the person that I'm going to be talking about in this episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui, is Barbara. She was a sales director for a family of radio stations and a single mom. So while her job was secure, she couldn't help but worry, because she was the family's only source of income, and sales were slowly slipping at a time of year when they were usually high. So she was very concerned about this, obviously. Very much like, I'm sure, a lot of folks, not everybody, but a lot of folks here at the coronavirus, where everybody's kind of a little bit walking on eggshells. So she called me in to talk with me about her office, to see if there was something that we could do to help her out and make her office more make her more productive, make her office more energetically advantageous. And she had a lot of problems, actually. So when I saw her office, she has, if you can imagine, just a regular square was her office, and the bottom right hand of the square was where the door was to her office. Well, the way she had aligned it was she had put her desk it was absolutely, when you open the door, there was her desk. So that way she could see whoever was in the door standing right there. Well, that's problematic right off the bat. Whenever you have a desk that's in line with a doorway, then you are kind of in a line of fire. You're in this line of chi, and it comes straight at you like an arrow. And what we want chi to do is to meander in slowly and gather and create a smooth and flowing and gentle type of entryway into your office. Now, what happened is she was sort of pinned between the door and the wall behind her. And she had all this other area to her right that was completely open, and that's where she had a couple of chairs so people could come in and they could sit down. Well, the people that were sitting in her office were actually in what's called the command position. That means that they were on the side of the office where they could see the door. They had the large solid wall behind them, and she was in the line of fire with this door. So what we wanted to do is create a better position for her, because this position where you are in line with the door is actually called, in Feng Shui, called the death position. And this is especially when it's true of your bed. Now, if you look at it from a career standpoint, could be the death position for her career. And that's what we wanted to make sure we handled and address, right? Because she's a single mom, and we want to make sure that she is in good and steady income and very solid. So what we did was we looked at her office and surmised that she wasn't taking advantage of this nice big solid wall where she could put her desk out in the room executive style, not pushed up against the wall where she was looking at a wall and everybody came in behind her, but where it was actually out in the room like an executive style with a credenza behind her, and she could look up and she could look to the door and see who was ahead of her, not directly in line with the door, not where the door was behind her and she would be overcome with problems. And this was key, because when people come into your office, even if you are a home worker like I am, nobody comes into my office except maybe my son or my husband. I don't have clients coming in, but I work in this office and I see it, and I could very easily put my desk up against the wall because that's where all the cords are and everything else. But instead, I choose to put it out in the office with the desk out in the middle of the room where I have a credenza behind me and a nice wall behind me. And what that says is it's an executive style. If you went to the CEO of General Motors and you were to walk into her office, I guarantee you she wouldn't have a desk pushed up against a wall. You need to be in that executive position, no matter whether you work at home or you work in a standard office. Now, obviously, if you're in a cubicle, that's going to be that's going to be a whole other ball of wax for sure. But you can you can angle a little bit so that you can see. And I know this because I worked in a cubicle before I left to work in Feng Shui and start my own business. And I turned my desk, or I turned my computer so that when somebody walked in, they walked to my right and I could see them coming in. So another problem that she had was she had this bookshelf that was, the corner was pointing at her back, and between the desk and the door, or the bookshelf and the door, she was pinned between these two very harsh energies. We really wanted to make sure that she looked more executive and she was treated in an executive fashion and felt like an executive. This is really key. You have to feel like an executive, and that starts with the way you place your desk. Now, being a sales director, she was in charge of sales. And she had her sales board that marked the clients and the money that was coming in the northwest corner of her office, instead of in the money position where she could see ahead of her where she was in terms of her sales and what the company needed. And we positioned that, we moved it over to the southeast wealth corner, which actually was in the corner that is called the lucky corner of her office. And that corner is always the corner that is most prominent or draws your eye as you walk into the room. So when you walk into your living room or your bedroom or your home office or whatever room you walk into, there's always a corner that's ahead of you from as you're standing in the doorway or entrance to this room, and it's always the corner that's the furthest diagonally from you. Now, this might be diagonally left, it might be diagonally right. That's called the lucky corner. And decorators know that when you put something there, it draws your eye in and it makes the room seem bigger and fuller. So you always want to activate that lucky corner. And that's what we did, was we put a nice tall plant there and activated the lucky corner where she could see her sales projections. It was very helpful for her to have that ahead of her, be able to see it and have it in a position where it was activating that lucky corner. And what we did was we moved the chairs so that they were in line with the door, and there was a nice empty space. When you walked into the office, there was room between her desk and the two chairs, and she was positioned out in the office with her desk turned just a little slightly to the south so that she could face one of her beneficial directions. And you can do that if you want to tilt your desk a little bit, you can. But here's what's really key and important to know, and that is many people like to use personal feng shui in their working environment or in their home to tap whatever directions are considered their wealth directions or their love directions. And people will want to orient their bed or their desk or dining room, whatever room they're in or whatever their chair they're in or what have you, they'll want to orient it so that they can always be facing one of their beneficial directions. This is short-sighted, and I'll tell you why. Because what is key is that you always sit in the command position, that you sleep in the command position. It's important that you don't try to position your best directions in such a way that it makes you not follow good form feng shui. Good form feng shui means that you can always see the door from the bed, or you can see it from your desk, and that your desk is pulled out into the room, that it's not facing a wall, which represents an obstacle. And many times if you've got the desk up against a wall, a lot of times that means that the door is where you can't see it, and that means problems overcome you. You have struggles when you look at a blank wall, when you have this wall, a sheer wall faced in front of you. It creates a feeling of having to overcome something, that you're up against an obstacle, and you are. What we are trying to encourage that I had talked about a little bit earlier is that flow of chi and energy, because if chi can flow in and gently spill around in the center of your office or in front of your desk. There's open space in front of your desk, like open space in front of your home. That means chi can gather and flow to you, and that means money can flow to you. If you have your desk pushed up against a wall, there's no area for money to flow to you. There's no area for energy to get to you. And we want energy to flow around your desk. So always make sure that you have the desk out in the room and that you have that good form feng shui with that nice solid wall behind you, and you can see the door ahead of you, because this means that you're in control and you're in command. And that's what we need this time more than ever, is to be in command of our career, our business, the opportunities that come to us, and most importantly, our income. So really important that we do that. Now, once we did that for Barbara, It was amazing how much more balanced her office felt. It felt like she was not a guest in her office like she was before, when her desk was directly facing the door, and she had all this open space for the people who came in to visit her and sit down. They were in command. They were enjoying the space. They were in that command position. So now we've got her in the command position. She had a more executive feel. She had energy and flow around her desk instead of that rushing energy from the door straight to her, or straight at her desk. And what happened was opportunities and sales began to flow in and pick up. And today she manages sales for a very, very large broadcasting company. And that's the good news about how Feng Shui can work, and because it can bring you the energy that you need. And it makes all the difference in the way you feel, because if you feel uncomfortable, it's sort of like walking around in shoes that are either too tight or too big. You're going to get where you're going, but it's not going to be easy, and it might even be painful. And the same thing is true in your office. You can probably do just fine working at a desk pushed up against the wall, but not for very long, not for what would be called a fruitful career. And we want to help you climb that ladder and help you have more opportunities and help you move ahead in your career, in your business, and in your income. And that's what having good office feng shui is all about. All right, well, I hope this was enlightening and informative for you, and I hope if it encourages you to get your desk away from the wall, that would mean the world to me, because I really want you to be in that executive position as much as possible in your work life, because it will make a big difference in the way you see you, in the way others see you, and the way you feel and work will be so much better. Okay, well, it's time for our 3 tips for the day. Tip number 1, always sit in the command position. That means that you have a nice solid wall behind you, and your desk is ahead of you, and you can see the door ahead of you. So important you're able to see the door and you have a nice solid wall behind you. Really, really important. This will make all the difference in the way you feel and the way you work. Tip number 2, always have open space in front of your desk. Avoid putting your desk up against a wall. That represents an obstacle and something to overcome. And it also means that energy can't flow to your desk, and that means money. So we always want to keep open space in front of our desk by placing our desk in an executive style position, because that puts open space in front of you, and that means money and opportunity can flow to you. Tip number 3, activate the lucky corner of your office. This is the corner that is diagonal from the door to your office. So when you stand in the door to your office, you're going to either look to the left or to the right. There's always a corner that is more prominent and that draws your eye more than the other, whether that's either the left or the right. It kind of depends on the way your office is arranged. So you'll have to be the judge of that. But that corner is called the lucky corner because your eye is naturally drawn there. So make the most of that lucky corner by adding something beautiful in it. A tall plant, maybe with some twinkle lights, or a pretty tall floor lamp that can go there, maybe with a Tiffany type or colored lampshade that sprays out beautiful colors and is lit up to lift that energy. It's very auspicious. Or you can put a beautiful image there, or sales charts, or anything that is representative of success. This could be clippings, awards that you've had, news stories that have been done about you, magazines you've been featured in, anything that will lift that energy and draws your eye in, and it will bring you great luck. All right. Thanks so much for being on 5-Minute Feng Shui today. If you want to learn more about the year ahead, in the year of the rat, and a lot of the energies that are going on, which you know are very, very strong, please be sure to check out my Year of the Rat article on my website at redlotusletter.com/rat. And you can also pick up my 2020 forecast for the year of the rat, and it is an incredible bargain. I have marked it way down because I want as many people to have access to the year's information as possible. It's only $9.97 for the download, and that also includes getting all the monthly emails and updates about energy changes, the zodiac sign horoscopes, new moons that are coming out every month. And I really encourage you right now to learn as much about energy as possible. I did talk about some breathing difficulties and concerns that I had when I wrote this forecast back in the fall. And so I think that there's some very timely information regarding the energy that we're dealing with COVID, including depression and concerns regarding self-harm, addiction, and so forth. So these are all things that are kind of prominent at the moment. I've had 2 calls regarding suicide, and I'm very concerned about that. So I really want you to be armed with all the information you can about managing the energies in the year ahead. All right, well, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for listening, and get that desk all set up to support you in your career and income. Take care, and I'll talk to you on the next time. For now, be safe and be well. Thanks for listening to 5-Minute Feng Shui today. The year of the rat is coming, and I want to share with you where you can find money, love, and opportunity in 2020. And it's all in my annual Feng Shui Forecast, the Success Pack. You get a full year of in-depth Feng Shui details about how to use the energy of the year for success and prosperity. That's because every year we're showered with a Roman candle of opportunities for money, abundance, love, and opportunity. You just have to know where they are. And my Year of the Rat Feng Shui Success Pack includes all the details for every house and every zodiac sign. You also get this year's lucky clothing, handbag, and wallet colors. So be sure to go to redlotusletter.com/rat for all the details on the Year of the Rat and how to make this year the year of your dreams.